Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhazwani binti Roslan D53599. We are from Group 3 that led by Muhammad Hafiz bin Ramli. Today we are going to present about good aquaculture practice and also a little bit about Global Food Safety Initiative GFSI. Good aquaculture practice are a series of consideration, procedure, and protocol designed to foster efficient and responsible aquaculture production and expansion and to help ensure final product quality, safety, and environmental sustainability. And next is Global Food Safety Initiative GFSI. Is a private organization established and managed by the International Trade Association, the Consumer Goods Forum under Belgian law in May 2000.
So my name is Muhammad Hafiz bin Ramli, number D53617. Now I want to continue for present about GMP in other country. So for this group, we have choose two countries. That is Philippine and Thailand. So for the Philippine, they make the Filipino national standard, where they make the code system like Malaysia national standard. So the function of the Philippine national standard is to provide practice to prevent or reduce the rise of hazard occurring during aquaculture, production, harvesting, post-harvesting handling of meat, fish, and tilapia, and also ensuring aquatic animal health and welfare. They were released by the Bureau of Aquaculture and Fisheries Standards in collaboration with a multi-stakeholder technical working group. The purpose of this code of the Philippine National Standard is for species meat, fish, and tilapia cover practice that aim to prevent or minimize the risk associated with agriculture production in fresh, brackish, and marine water. So for type of culture, what focus on this standard is meat, fish, and tilapia. So here we go to see the code and recruitment was in Filipino National Standard. First, on code 1, on code 4, the site selection. They have two requirements: this location and layout design. For example, agriculture farm should be located in area where risk of population or contamination can be controlled or mitigated at several levels. So that next, on 4.1.2, proof of compliance with certain environmental regulation by competent authority should be available. And for layout design, agriculture farm should be designed with proper space for its specificity and should integrate biosecurity measures to prevent cross-contamination and treat to security. That is on 4.21. So for the next on code 5, facility and sanitation. Facility, they have facility, sanitation, and waste removal. For example, facility for the disposal of solid and liquid waste should be available in suitable area and complete with existing regulation. That is on code 5.11. And for code 5.12, full chemical substance, sanitizer, fertilizer, and reagent, feed, and veterinary drug should be stored separately in safe condition. That is on code 5.12. Next, for sanitation, on code 5.214, in code 5.21, agriculture farm facility the surroundings should be maintained in a clean and hygiene condition. For waste removal, on code 5.31, waste should be properly segregated and removed at least once a day. Next, for 5.32 code, waste container and the waste premix should be cleaned and sanitized after its use. So for code 6, farm manager, that is aquaculture farm preparation and water management. For aquaculture preparation, like on code 6.11, there has aquaculture farm preparation practice should be minimize risk of cross-contamination. And for water management, water for culture should be quality suitable for production of meat, fish, and tilapia. Water quality should conform with the existing standards set by the competent authority that is on code 6.21. So for feed and feeding, that is on code 7, that has origin of feed substance on code 7.1, feed quality on 7.2, and the feeding on code 7.3. For example, like commercial feed and feed ingredient, additive and product should be obtained from a company registered monthly by the competent authority, that is 7.1. For feed quality, the content of extractive or veterinary drug should be compliant with existing regulation and conform with the exacting standard, that is on code 7.2.1. For the feeding practice should be minimize the rise of biological, chemical, and physical contamination of feed and aquaculture animal, that is on code 7.31. pH management, that has 7 code on under 8 code. For example, like farm operation should be followed citing protocol on aquatic animal health, that is on code 8.1. So for chemical use, there is on code 9, there is 3 code, there is 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3, and that is for like this. And for harvesting transport, there has two item, that is harvesting and post-harvesting transport. So for next, biodiversity, that on code 11. So example is accept the captive stock and predator control. For example is the use of lethal method in regulating of fish breeder, especially those classified as vulnerable by the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, should be avoided. That is on code 11.2. Next, animal welfare. A suitable healthy environment should be maintained to promote good growth and survival, that is on code 12.1. Second last is personal health and hygiene. It has four items or four code under the personal health and hygiene, like workers should be trained on farm hygiene practice to ensure they are aware of the role and responsibility for protecting agricultural product from contamination and deterioration through the production cycle. And last is traceability and record keeping. For example, and that is on code 40. For example, like adult record should be kept on aquaculture farm management activities such as preparation and water quality control. And for record and harvesting should be maintained for traceability purpose. And all records should be maintained and made accessible during culture for at least 24 months after harvesting. That is on code 40.7. So for the lastly is labor and community. There has several items, the child labor, anti-dispute or nature treatment of exploration, training of safety, first and safety measure, which are working hour, living condition of employer, and social asset. For example, like training of safety, like safety products and orientation product to start the work of should be available at the farm, that is on code 53.1. And for social asset is farm operation should demonstrate accurate on public land and water use for local community according to the law and regulation, that is on code 50.71. So for the Thailand, I give to Haika to present it.
My name is Muhammad Haika bin Madurhan and my matric number is D52596. Today I want to present and continue about good aquaculture practice for Thailand. Okay, first about function. For function is marine biosphere fund in order to promote and develop the production system supplying high quality and safe product. Okay, purpose. But purpose is applies to fund practice in marine biosphere culture, including harvesting and post-harvest handling. For released by is National Bureau of Agriculture, Commodity and Food Standard. How about type of culture is white and black shrimp. Okay. I want to talk about item and requirement. First, prerequisite standard. Fund has been certified in good aquaculture practice for marine shrimp fund and shall not be the status of suspension or evacuation. After that, about fund site. The fund site is functional have document to demonstrate the history of land as including information of surrounding area indicating there is no risk of contamination from pesticides. Okay. After that, about transaction of period. Transaction period should be at least one production cycle in compliance with the requirement of his standard. This slide is fund management. The fund management is shrimp larvae should not be treated with veterinary drug. After that, feeding should be managed effectively. Okay. The next point is the use of veterinary drug and chemical. The use of all veterinary drug is strictly prohibited. Okay. For the next slide is influent and sediment management. Okay. This point is influent and sediment quality should be meet the requirement of law by applying the biology rights as use close recalculation system. The point of fund sanitation is garbage and waste should be discarded separately in order to prevent cross contamination. Okay. For, another point is harvesting. The harvesting is the product should be transported to the buyer in a hygienic manner, and the use of chemical during harvesting is certainly provided. Okay, the last point is record keeping. The record keeping is document and record should be maintained and updated. Okay, that's all for me.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Emilia Shazli binti Abdul Jalal and my metric number is T53629. So, I will continue the presentation with the comparison good aquaculture practice standard between Malaysia, Philippines and Thailand. So, there are 6 standards to be compared between these 3 countries. The first one is the name of good aquaculture practice. For Malaysia, it is called as Malaysia Good Aquaculture Practice Aquaculture Farm. For Philippines, it is called as Philippine Good Aquaculture Practice Milkfish and Tilapia, while Thailand name is Thailand Good Aquaculture Practice Shrimp. Malaysia do culture all species freshwater and marine water, while Philippines only culture milkfish and tilapia. Thailand do culture black and white shrimp. The next one is function. Malaysia's GAP's function is to promote good aquaculture practice for sustainable industry that is environmentally, socially acceptable and economically viable to ensure quality for human consumption, while Philippines' GAP's function is to prevent or minimize the risks associated with aquaculture production in fresh, brackish and marine waters. The Thailand GAP's function is to promote such agriculture commodity to meet its quality, standard and safety. The next standard is the site selection. For Malaysia, the site selection for aquaculture shall be approved by the competent authorities and should minimize conflicts of land and water use, while the standard for site selection at Philippines is aquaculture farms should be located in areas where risk of pollution or contamination can be controlled or mitigated to an acceptable level. While for Thailand, they require the farm shall have documents to demonstrate the history of land use including information of the surrounding area indicating that there is no risk of contamination. The next standard is water management. Malaysia required two standards of water management where they have to maintain the quality water and the water management must always be monitored. While for Philippines, the quality is suitable for production of milkfish and tilapia and the water quality should be regularly monitored to ensure suitability and safety. While the Thailand required the water management standard to be monitored and controlled to maintain the shrimp in good health by using biological principles such as the use of probiotics and phytoplankton. And the last standard is the record keeping. For Malaysia, it required for all records shall be maintained on the quantities and origin of input, and all record must keep up to date for a minimum 2 years, and all record keeping system must be established in which all the essential elements are captured. For Philippines, they required to records on harvesting should be maintained for traceability purpose, and adequate records on the buyers of final products should be kept, and all records should be kept, maintained and made accessible during culture and for at least 24 months after harvesting. But the Thailand only required the record keeping standard to documents, and records shall be maintained and updated.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Anis Atira binti Azharuddin and my metric number is D53602. In this slide, I will explain about issue and challenge of halal implementation in food industry Malaysia.
And my name is Muhammad Aiman bin Abdul Aziz and my metric number is D53619. And I will explain about the Global Food Safety Initiative Scheme audit requirements regarding cleaning tool and utensil selection and maintenance journal.
And we will together explain about
The pesticide residues in food, food safety, nutrition and health effects journal.
According to International Journal of Business and Management Study (IJBMS), in issue and challenge of halal implementation in food industry in Malaysia, writing by Asnida Hanim Yusof, Shadiyah Abdul Shukur and Umi Salwa Ahmad Bustamam, halal food is no longer considered solely as a religious requirement for the Muslim, but also sought by non-Muslim community because of cleanliness, safety and hygiene issue. In this issue, food business practitioners face various kinds of issue and challenge in order to implement the halal concept in their daily operations. Therefore, there are some actions are taken, such as further study to analyze the problems and figure out the solution for the current problems. On the other hand, as for halal food production, special tax incentives have been introduced. Halal certificate industry have increased by 20% from year 2009 to 2010. 65% of the halal certificate companies derive from food cluster industry due to Malaysian government various support to help establish halal hub in these countries. On top of that, there are more issues that accurate, such as the lack of understanding of the halal procedure. There is lack of expertise in the halal certification area, hence clearer problems like improper filling will also contribute the inefficiency of the operation. Last but not least, the factors of non-compliance of halal certification which was studied in restaurant around Kuala Lumpur was because of the cost of implementation and cost of change due to rectification that needs to be done after the audit from JAKIM officer.
Food industry cleaning tools and utensils have been long identified as a major source and vector of cross-contamination. UK government funded study data used to establish food industry gain on microbiological sampling. showed that 47 of cleaning tools tested positive for Listeria monocytogenes. Many external food safety and quality audits are now conducted by or on behalf of one of the four main global food safety initiative GFSI approved food safety schemes. Those four main global food safety initiatives are the British Retail Consortium BRC Global Standards or Food Safety, International Standards Organizations, Food Safety System Certification ISO FSSC 22000, Safe Quality Food Program SQF, and last but not least International Featured Standard IFS Food. Another study determined that 67% of equipment and utensils used in a poultry processing plant were contaminated with L. monocytogenes. Despite these, cleaning tools and utensils are already considered in relation to food safety. Therefore, some alternatives to overcome this issue are such as, based on the finding of the scheme reviews, guidance in relation to optimizing cleaning tool and utensil audit, which can be achieved through the development and provision of hygienic design related guidance, training and certification. For wet cleaning of cleaning tools and utensils generally, food safety cleaning tools and utensils used in wet environments are decontaminated at the end of the production day, or more frequently, if required, through immersion in warm water containing a detergent by use of a hose. Hence, these actions are usually followed by the application of a chemical disinfectant before being rinsed and hung up or placed in an oven to dry.
Lastly is pesticide residues in food, food safety, nutrition and health effects. Here the issue are where the usage of pesticide during production often leads to presence of pesticide residues in fruit after and during harvest.
It is stated that the most abundant pesticide is chlorpyrifos with 20%, then pyrimethamine and dimethoate with 13.33% in comparison with other pesticides, etc.
Reasons for the application of pesticide are numerous, starting from solving agronomic problems that have not been solved so far, to the emergence of new resistant pests as well as the reduction of economic damage affecting food producers.
Also, consuming food with pesticide residue can have negative health effects on the central nervous system, the cardiovascular system, and respiratory system. After that, the alternative are future longer-term studies are required in this area and would have attained a deeper knowledge about food production with respect to the use of pesticides and their presence in samples. The results can be used when designing future control programs and taking preventive action to minimize human health risks.
In conclusion, aquaculture is one of the best ways to keep the resources sustainable and still on the safe line, even though it was got a lot of demand. However, to keep the activity on the safe zone, we need to keep the SOP and also rule for it to get right and make it into eco-friendly. Therefore, good aquaculture practices are very crucial for the management of aquaculture production and also relatively simple, common sense practice that can benefit significantly to the production of the fish, incidence of the disease, quality of the product, and also safety. Every country have their own ways toward their management and content of good aquaculture practice list.
Besides, good aquaculture practice is one way to succeed the process of food safety for the consumption of human. In addition, safe food handling practice and procedure are thus implemented at every stage of the food production life cycle in order to curb these risks and prevent harm to consumer.